What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world? I would like to welcome you back to the Real Talk with Zuby podcast. On today's show, we have got the founder and owner of a new coffee company, which is called Ground Shark Coffee. This is Nick Lowary. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey Zuby, how you doing, man? Glad to be here.
Awesome, man. Glad to have you here. So I've done a very, very brief intro right there, but why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so long story short, like you said, owner founder of Ground Shark Coffee. I've my business partner does all the roasting, all the coffee, all the product development, everything in that nature. That's his realm. I do the business side and the sales side. Um, we started up back in August. I think our first live day was August 18th because it was 8/18/18. And since then, we've just been moving slowly, building and building and building. And actually, just like 2 weeks ago, we became profitable. So that was a
Wow,
really good feeling.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So what on earth led you to starting a coffee company? Because that's not the thing an average young man does.
Dude, we just thought it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It was literally that simple. So my business partner, he's like in his mid 30s and he's got a culinary arts degree and he's used that to basically make his way. He worked at Whole Foods for a while. He worked at or I guess that was a big one, but a lot of his like freelance work over the past couple of years has been as a personal chef. So a lot of them have just been like for events and stuff like that. And then like if you've got a wife or a girlfriend and you want to have a really romantic dinner for Valentine's Day, but you don't want to cook or you want to have a chef come and prepare you like an amazing meal, that's his gig.
Okay.
So yeah, for kind of whatever you want, to an extent, he'll come and make it happen. And we were sitting down to grab lunch one day because he posted on his Facebook that he had quit his job about a year before and had been stressed and never really knew if ends were going to meet, but he was the happiest and most fulfilled he'd ever been because he was finally going in on like what he was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 23 at the time, just turned 23. And I saw that and I had just started my career in construction about this was May. So it must've been 3 months before. And I was already just like, I got to get the hell out of here. Like, this is not going to work for me. And so I saw his post on Facebook. I messaged him and we got lunch. We started talking. Ideas came and went. And the coffee idea was just like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. But basically, the gist of it was him realizing that he's not good at business. He's not good at sales. He's not good at people. He's very, very introverted. All he wants to do is make food. And he was like, dude, if you can put me in a spot where all I got to do is make food, I'm a happy man. And I was like, all right, let's figure it out. So ideas came, coffee came. A couple days later, he texted me. He goes, that coffee idea, man, I love it. And I was like, all right, let's go. So we got really lucky. There was a coffee fest in Denver that happens about once a year, but it happens in different cities all over the country. So we got really lucky that there was one happening in Denver 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later that we could go to. And the one before that was in Denver was probably like 4 years before.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, yeah, it was like perfect timing. And so he went, we got the ball rolling. We met some guys that actually rent out their roaster. So we just rent the roaster from them for the hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a week that we use it. That keeps our costs down. So
Wow.
that was really like the reason we were able to hit the ground. Otherwise it would never have been feasible.
Awesome, man. So what other ideas did you have initially besides a coffee company? Were there other things that you had in mind and then you were like, okay, we'll go with that one?
Yeah, there was a couple. I don't remember now, but basically the gist of it was his like cooking, right? Just kind of having a like a business manager and stuff like that. That was the big one that stuck in my mind. Food truck came and food truck went really quick. That was not going to stick around.
Yeah.
It's so saturated out here.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not very common here.
Really?
No, not at all.
They're everywhere in Denver, dude.
All right. That's interesting.
I think like 90% of them fail in the first year or two. Like they don't do well.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, man. So, why coffee?
It was something that he figured he could learn pretty quick. And I like it. I've always liked it. My dad, when I was growing up, my dad always told me that I couldn't drink coffee until I was old enough to like it black. So I eventually kind of like developed an affinity for it, and then dated a girl in college who was a barista, and she kind of showed me like what good coffee is, and then like just kind of through that, and then trying it more and more and more, and eventually really liked it. So just kind of felt natural.
No, that's fair enough, man. So
Mm.
let's take it back, man. I want to find out a little bit more about the man behind the brand. So whereabouts are you from? Where did you grow up?
I'm I grew up in St. Louis. I live in Denver now. I came out here to go to school. Came out here to play lacrosse on the CU team, or University of Colorado.
Mhm.
And then about 2 years, 2.5 years into that, so I left. It's a spring sport, so I left after the fall, like training season, fall ball.
Mhm.
So I played 2 full seasons, then I left after the next fall. So 2.5 years on the team. And when I left, it was because I just kind of knew that it wasn't going to work out long term. Like I didn't want to do it anymore. But I made a deal with myself that if I were to leave the team, it wasn't because I was too hard. It was because I just didn't want to do it. So I picked up jujitsu and started doing that. And I kind of made a deal that like that first semester, I would put as much time into that as I would have into lacrosse.
Okay.
And so I was doing 2 a day. Like I was practicing. I was in the gym at least 10 times a week.
Wow.
And I absolutely fell in love with it. And so that's kind of eventually blossomed into Ground Shark because my business partner is one of my coaches. And that's where the name comes from too, because jujitsu is a grappling sport or
Mhm.
grappling art. It's a kind of an old joke in the jujitsu world that the ground is my ocean, I am the shark, and most people don't even know how to swim. And I think
Ah,
it
okay.
was, I forget who said it. It's kind of attributed to a bunch of people, but basically one of the big names in the sport.
Ah,
And So yeah, so that was a big moment for me leaving the lacrosse team because that was still part of the pipe dream that I had had growing up.
okay. That's
Go to
when it.
college. Hmm.
Okay. No, I was going to say that's what you wanted to do professionally initially, or
No, it wasn't even that I wanted to do it professionally. I started too late to do it professionally.
okay.
Um, but what it was like part of the prescribed life for me anyway. Like I fell in love with the sport. I was going to do engineering because that's what I grew up doing. My dad was an electrical engineer. My mom was an interior designer. So I kind of mixed the two and came up with civil engineering.
Mhm.
I was going to be an engineer. I played lacrosse. Like it was like all like for me set in stone. And this was the first decision I made where my parents were like, "What are you doing? Don't
Mm.
do that." I was like, "I'm doing it anyway."
Yeah. So that's last year, you mean, with starting the ground shark?
No, 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 no,
Right.
no. I meant leaving the lacrosse team.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha,
No, that's
gotcha.
my bad. I guess I did. I kind
Okay.
of jumped around. No. So that was the first decision, and that kind of put me on the track of like actually finally trusting myself and making the decisions that I knew I had to make, which eventually led to Ground Shark, which was the first, like, I guess, really big decision I
Yeah, man.
made that was totally on my own.
Awesome, man. So you're doing ground shark full time now, is that right?
Yeah, you could say that. I left my day job March 29th. So looking at my calendar,
Okay.
3.5 weeks ago.
Okay, so this is
And
well timed.
yeah, no, it is. And so I left my day job then. And the reason I was able to leave my day job was because it's funny how it all ties together. I actually got concussed at the end of January. I was training for a Muay Thai fight. I got kicked in the head, knocked out, and it just rocked my world.
Mm.
And I had never, I hadn't, I'd heard of CBD, the like the hemp derivative.
Yeah.
So I'd heard of it. I had never tried it. I'd always been kind of a cynic. And then after my concussion, all my teammates were like, dude, try out CBD. It was amazing for my head. Like when I was recovering, it helped me just get myself back and like find some clarity. So eventually I tried it and it was like night and day. Like one day I felt hungover. I tried it that night, used it again the next morning. And the next day I actually felt like I could live.
Wow.
And, and so I wound up about a week later meeting the owner of a startup CBD company. And I started telling him my story. We started talking about it. One thing led to another. And now I guess I don't really know quite what my official title is going to be yet, but I'm one of the sales reps and it's a totally commission based job. And I'm also going to be doing marketing and website work for them. So
Okay.
it's very freelance. I don't view it as a standard 9 to 5 because it's really like however much I put in is how much I'm getting out.
Mm.
But that was really what came across my plate that was like, oh, I can do this. I don't need a job, and I don't need my standard career path. I can make the shift and actually keep paying the bills.
Yeah.
So that was big.
That's awesome, man. And how's that transition been for you? I mean, it's been
It's
just a
been so
couple of
much
weeks.
fun.
So
It's
yeah,
been so much fun. I mean, I still make it a point to wake up at 7 o'clock every day. Um, my morning is my most productive time.
I'm with you.
So yeah, dude, I can't, like right now, like I haven't eaten yet because I knew it's 1:30 my time. If
Okay.
I had eaten before this, I knew I'd be food combing and I'd just be a zombie on this. So I was like purposely wait. But like my morning is so much more productive than my afternoon that I stopped eating breakfast, and that's how I wound up getting into intermittent fasting. Um,
Good man.
yeah, because it was
Yeah.
like after I eat, I just food coma and I
Yeah.
don't do anything.
Yeah. No, I've done IF straight for about 12 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. You came in
Before
real early.
before it was so mainstream.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess right now I'm at like 3.5 years, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before it exploded, but definitely not the hipster mover.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. I was on that one early. I was on that early.
yeah,
I
good
gave
for
it a
you, man.
try when I was doing a cut. Because
Hmm.
I'd done like, I mean, I've been lifting for half my life now, but I I'd done the standard thing of trying to eat like every 2 to 3 hours, eating little meals, and on a
I
diet,
hate
it
that.
just made me hungry all the time. Just made me hungry
Hmm.
all the time. And I don't know, I was browsing online or something. I came across the holy grail of intermittent fasting, of course, Martin Burkhan and his leangains.com
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
I think he might do things a little differently now, but I saw it like in its early on, and I was like, this lot
Yeah.
this goes against a lot of the kind of bodybuilding dogma that I've seen
Hmm.
out there, but it seems that was like it was like, you know what, let me try this thing for a week. So
Yeah, man.
I tried it for like a week, and I was like, okay, like I'm not hungry. Like I can eat, because I like decent sized meals. You know,
I do too.
if I'm eating a meal, inverted commas, that's 400 calories, I'm like, that's not a meal.
That's
That's
not a
like,
meal.
so it's a little snack. And then I was like, okay,
Yeah,
cool. Like I
it's a
can eat like
snack
a,
at best. It's like
yeah.
it's like you
It's like,
accidentally ate it.
yeah, it's just like, okay. And then I tried it, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna have like 1,200 calories for breakfast, like a big breakfast. And I was like, okay, cool. Oh, I can do this. And then like come dinner, I was like, I wasn't even hungry. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like, I was having like big breakfast, big lunch, like medium sized dinner, and then like, okay, cool. And then of course I was doing like, I think I started with the 16-hour fasting, and I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I got to some points when I was doing like 20 hours a day, and then just like 4 hour
Hmm.
eating window, just having two big meals. Um, but yeah, no, it's just for me, it's largely convenience, to be honest with you. It's
Dude, for real.
yeah, sometimes when if I'm traveling or if I'm touring or something, and everything kind of goes out the window because you got to just eat when you can eat or whatever. But no, typically it's kind of like 11 till 6, 11 till 7, something like that. Just yeah, it works really well for me, man. And I think yeah, I don't know.
It
It's just easy.
No, for real. Like for me, it was literally like I realized. So I had a semester in college. I don't know how it works over in the UK, but here we go by credit hours, and I had a semester with 18 credit hours, which was like a full load, and a lot of that was just all of it was engineering except for one architecture class. It was an architecture studio, and the studios are well known for being about twice as much work as any other class that's that amount of time.
Okay.
And so I was just slammed. Um, and excuse me, I had Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I didn't have class until noon, or no, until 1. And I realized that when I wake up, I had to wake up at like 8 o'clock all the other days, but like when I would still wake up early on those days. And I realized that those couple hours that I had were my most productive times of the week, those
Mm.
3 days. And, because Saturday, Sunday I was hungover. So it was like those 3 days, I was like, those are the best days to work. So I realized then that like if I ate, that was wasting that time. And then I would food coma, and then I wouldn't use the time after it. So I just kind of naturally found intermittent fasting that way, where I was like, this is what I'm doing. And then I found that, and I was like, oh, I got a name for it now.
Mm-mm.
Like, and it was such a big realization for me that energy management is so important, like so much more so than time management almost.
Yeah, man. It's Yeah, I'm trying to work on both of those things right now. Slammed is a good word. I don't people don't
Yeah.
use that here in the UK. I might start I might start using that.
I
I'm
like that word.
slammed.
I use it a
Slammed.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to come back a little bit to ground shark coffee. So it's funny. I'm not a coffee drinker. I can't drink coffee. So
Yeah. None
like,
of you guys can, huh?
dude, I'm terrible. Like I've probably drunk 2 cups of coffee in my life. Like
Good. That's
when
two
I
more
was
than you need.
when I was a kid, I used to try it and I didn't like it. Coffee and beer, I never liked either of them. And my parents would always be like, "Oh, wait until you're,
Yeah.
when I was 10, it was like, wait until you're 16. When I was 16, it was like, wait until you're 20. I was 20, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna like this stuff. But yeah, no, it's funny because I like caffeine.
Hmm.
I don't drink or take a lot of it, but I almost wish it's one of those things like I kind of in a way I wish I liked it
Yeah.
because I like the caffeine buzz. But maybe I haven't tried the right thing. I haven't tried ground shark yet. Maybe it'll change my
Maybe,
life if I.
maybe if we ever get it over there to the UK, make shipping
Yeah.
cheaper. That's something we're struggling with, man.
Oh, dude, shipping costs can be huge.
Unbelievably,
Yeah,
unbelievably a pain.
yeah.
Very bad.
So, what I'd like to go into, I like to get into detail on the podcast, especially because I know some people listening to this might be thinking of starting their own business or kind
Hmm.
of doing what you've done, going their own way, creating, going against the grain, creating something a little bit
Right.
different, doing something entrepreneurial. So, can you like talk us through the actual steps that it took for you to go from
Yeah.
point A to where you are now?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. So it started out. Let's do the timeline. Let's see. So last May was when we had the idea. So
Hmm.
almost a year ago. Um, we started hitting the ground and just started doing things. We just did anything we could. We bought this little 1 pound home roaster that we thought maybe could work, and it no, can't work. But we started doing things. We bought that. We got a bunch of test. We call green coffee because it's green, unroasted coffee. We got a bunch of like just different things we could do to just start getting into it and like figuring it out. Um, we met those guys we could rent the roaster from. Then we started getting a little bit more professional. They were huge as mentors because they walked us through what would and wouldn't work, what they've done, what they messed up, what worked for them, like the whole nine. They've just been amazing for us.
Hmm.
And I think the you could say we got lucky when we met them, but in reality, it was one of those things we just like we hit the ground and started moving, and it was inevitable that we would meet someone like that.
Hmm.
So we met them. That was a huge help. We started getting the product created. We started testing. We found some beans that we liked. We found some roasts that we liked. We figured it out, and we set a timeline, August 18th, 18, because it was a little bit of a stretch to force us to make it, and it was a good date. I don't know.
Hmm.
So we picked that. Um, the marketing aspect of it was for me targeting people who had followings. I knew that with our limited capital, because we didn't take out any loans. There's no investors. This is all coming out of our day jobs.
Yep.
And because of that, I knew that the marketing would have to come from a social media standpoint where I would build my personal brand and the business brand, and you bump the two off of each other simultaneously.
Yeah.
And
Did you already have any kind of following at this point already?
minor.
Okay.
I had a Twitter, maybe 20 followers. I never
Okay.
used it just for like reading other people's stuff. And then
Hmm.
my Instagram was mostly just my friends.
Okay.
But I had been working on photography actually that the girl I was dating at the time really got me into. And so that was starting to bump up and starting to get leads.
Is this the girl who was also a barista or?
No, no, no. That was the one before.
Oh,
And
I
actually,
see, I see what you're doing, Nick. I see.
yeah, yeah. Just take a little bit.
So,
Oh,
what skill do I want to learn next?
yeah, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, carry on, man.
But
I'm playing.
no, and it's funny how that works, man, right? Like you get so close to somebody and like you just pick up something that they do and like you don't even think about it. And then later you look back and you're like, oh man, that was definitely her. But But no, and then Maddie, the girl I was dating at the time, she actually really got me into like kind of added more to the coffee because she actually lived in Portland for a couple of months. So there's like the coffee up in Portland is amazing. And so anyway, we I knew the marketing was gonna have to be social media.
Okay.
And I didn't, because I didn't have the money to pay for ads. I didn't have the money to buy, like to pay for a great marketer or anything like that. And so I started targeting people that had big followings. So like people in this little corner of Twitter. Hunter Drew was a huge one.
Mhm.
And he tweeted one day, because I came out with the coffee right around the same time as Ivan Throne came out with his cigars and Kyle Trouble came out with his olive oil. So Hunter tweeted basically like, I can't wait to be eating a steak cooked in Kyle's olive oil while I'm smoking one of Ivan's cigars. And I was like, you're going to be drinking my coffee too.
Okay.
I just like commented on it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he hit me back and he goes, this is yours? And I was like, yep. He goes, I'm going to buy it. And if it's good, everyone's going to know. And if it's bad, everyone's going to know. And I was like, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Okay.
And so that's a very like specific example that I saw an opportunity and jumped on. But I think the applicable lesson there is just like find your target market, find what you're like, where you want to go, and just like find the people that if you sway them, you effectively sway more than them,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like our target market, and as we're evolving and growing, we're getting more and more targeted towards that. Our targeted market is jujitsu athletes and
Okay.
MMA fighters. Um, and my business partner, he's been in the game for 13 years, so he knows a bunch of people. So we're using his connections to actually go after like big names in the fighting world and in the
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu world, and finding a way to make it beneficial for them to market our product. And that's been a fun puzzle to solve, trying to find like people who normally you would have no reason to talk to, or they would have no reason to talk to you rather,
Yeah.
and trying to find a way to give them a reason to talk to you and kind of grow together.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I think one interesting thing about I'm a full-time independent musician,
mhm.
and have been. I mean, I've been making music for over 10 years. I've been doing it professionally now for about 7.5 years. And obviously doing things 100. There's one thing a lot of people don't actually realize this. Maybe I need to emphasize it more now that more people know me, is that I'm like 100% independent. Like, I think because I've got a pretty large following or whatever. So I think a lot of people think, oh, they automatically assume I'm with some label or
Right.
whatever, or someone's doing stuff for me. I'm like, no, this whole thing I've built. Like nobody,
Mhm.
nobody else has really touched this thing.
That's
But
awesome.
thanks, man. Thank you. But it's like, because of that, you've got to be, if you don't have that investment or, a ton of money or like a major mentor or something like that, it makes you more creative, in terms of marketing anything, in terms of getting your name out there. It's
Yeah.
like, you've just got to think really creatively. I think one of the
Did you?
downsides of, when companies or individuals get a ton of money up front is they don't have to, if you get tons of money, people just throw money at things. You don't
Yeah.
really think of like, okay, what's going to be effective or how can we get creative? Okay, we've only got $500 to do some marketing, right? So
Yeah.
what can we do with $500 that's going to make an impact? Whereas if
It's
you've just got like 50,000 to throw at stuff, you just be like, yeah, just like run like a billion Facebook ads. Oh yeah, get that billboard in the town. Yeah, just
mhm.
you can just kind of burn through this thing and you don't know what's working and what's not working. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's good to you described it as putting a puzzle together, and I think that's
Mhm.
where a lot of the fun is.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's like every couple of weeks I'll change all the copy on the website. I'll change the photos. I'll change different call to action, stuff like that. That's what I was working on today.
Mm.
And it's like every time I change it, we either get a little bit more or we get a little bit less. And I'm like, all right, change it again. Like,
Yeah.
and just keep refining what works and finding more. And it's so tedious sometimes, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
So it's like you get creative, you go off the wall, dude. Your deadlift video, like that was like perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like you nailed that, and then you wound up like right, like Joe Rogan talked about you on his podcast,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's huge,
Yeah.
and it's like that has objectively nothing to do with your music,
No.
but it put you on the map somewhere that you probably never expected to go, you
Not
know?
that, no, I did not expect it to go that far, man. I thought, yeah, my audience, a couple of thousand people on my audience will probably find this kind of funny, but I wasn't expecting it to become an international international sensation. Dude, I was in the airport a couple weeks ago. I
Uh-huh.
was at Gatwick Airport in London, and I was in I was in an elevator, and the guy on it was kind of like, he was kind of looking at me like, you know me. He's like, you're that guy who broke the women's deadlift, right? This is like a maybe like a 50-year-old guy, you know. And he was
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, I saw that on the news, and I was just like, wow. He's like, yeah,
dude,
it was
that is
very funny,
awesome.
mate. It was very very funny.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's so funny, man. Like, of all the things to get known for, but I think
No,
that,
and
yeah, but the timing was good because obviously I've got a whole body and library of work that already exists. So a lot of people, if I go on my YouTube channel now on my music videos, one of the most popular comments is, I came for the deadlift, I stayed for the music. So it's
yeah,
like a lot of people discovered me through that thing, but then after that, oh, they started listening to the podcast or they downloaded
exactly.
my album or whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's been when these weird things happen, you've got to just take them and run with them. You can't plan everything.
Exactly. You just gotta, it's kind of like throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks, but it's a little bit more scientific than that. Just a little
Mm,
bit. But like you have an idea, like it's you, right?
yeah,
That's kind of why it works. It's like you thought that'd be funny. You're like, this is hilarious. I'm gonna try this. Like maybe other people will think it's funny too, but it's like your sense of humor, right?
yeah,
And like I think that's what makes so many big box brands and like big retail stores and everything, like that's what makes them impersonal. And I think that the internet as a whole is bringing us back to kind of like a farmer's market, right? It's like a big
mm,
international online farmer's market where guys like me can get our coffee out there to the world. And like my potential audience is millions and millions of people. And like even 20 years ago, my potential audience would be whoever lives in Denver, you
sure.
know? And it's kind of the same thing with your music. And it's really cool to see, you
That's
know,
awesome, man. So at the moment, are you only selling online at the moment, or do you have any real world retail as well?
all online at the moment.
Okay.
Looking for more business to business sales. I had kind of written it off a little bit, like I really want to get it straight to the consumer.
Hmm.
And we've gotten a couple sales to businesses that have just been awesome. I'm like, all right, I need more of those. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's what's gonna pay the bills.
yeah.
And it's another one of those things, right? It gets our coffee in front of eyes that we would never see. Something I've been doing lately and I've been pushing. We did it for Easter Seals first off, and Easter Seals is it's like a special needs care community. So they have daycare, they give them jobs and like the whole nine for like special needs people. It's a really awesome, very well run organization.
Hmm.
And my day job was managing a construction site. I was a field engineer. And so my field office was actually we were renting office space from an Easter Seals building. And I wound up talking a lot to the guy who was in the office next to me. And he had been an entrepreneur his whole life and he was working for Easter Seals actually pretty high up in the organization as basically his retirement job.
Okay.
And so he kind of became a mentor for me. And actually, I need to call him. It's been a couple of weeks since I've talked to him, but
Mhm.
he he asked me one day. He's like, "Would you guys be willing to put our logo on some coffee?" And I kind of thought about it, and I didn't really process it right. And I went, "How much coffee are you thinking?" He's like, "I don't know, 50, 100 bags." I was like, "Oh yeah, we can do that." Um, so got to talking. We redesigned our label for them. We put their logo on the front, their mission statement, like the whole nine.
Mhm.
And we basically just put our logo on just in the corner in the back. It said this coffee is made, produced, distributed specifically for our friends by
Mhm.
Ground Truck Coffee. And it was really cool. And I started thinking about that more. And I was like, man, like that's kind of one of those things that like it's not a standard marketing tactic that you would see written all over the world, but like it's very effective in just getting your coffee in front of people that would never find it.
Sure.
And so now I've gotten another one of those since. We're looking at a couple more. We got a couple like really good leads that we're working with to try to get it for another couple people. So hopefully that pans out a little bit more.
Awesome, man. So what's your daily schedule looking like now, if you have one?
Yeah, I'm looking at my routine on the wall. I just bought this like massive whiteboard sticker that just sticks on the wall,
Oh yeah.
and like now everything is written on it, and I love it. But my daily schedule, I wake up at 7, kind of make some coffee, wake up. I just started doing the Wim Hof breathing. You ever
Okay.
tried that? You know
I
what I'm
haven't.
talking about?
I've heard of Wim Hof and I've heard of Wim
Uh,
Hof breathing, but I've never tried it. I don't know what it technically is.
so you basically force yourself to hyperventilate, then you hold your breath for about as long as you can, and then you take in a huge breath and hold that for a while. Then you do that 3 times.
Okay.
And that's like grossly oversimplified, but that's effectively what it is. And I did it yesterday for the first time. And then today, my hands and my feet went numb. And when I was done, I felt absolutely amazing. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to try this more. But yeah, so like my morning routine, wake up, do that, have some coffee. And then I write out a daily email that I've been doing lately. And then spend the next 4 or 5 hours doing the like creative work that we need done.
Okay.
So copy, photo editing, um, reaching out to like sales leads, everything like that. All the like mentally demanding stuff I try to get done in the morning.
Hmm.
And then I'll break my fast around noon. The evening or the afternoon is like kind of my nonsense time. I usually take a nap. If I have like tedious stuff to do, I'll take care of that, like going to the store, doing chores around the house.
Hmm.
That's when I try to do that because I just am not thinking as clearly as I am in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, Once the food coma and everything wears off, I only let's see, my whole routine just changed. After that, I'll start getting a little bit more work done. My roommate gets home from work, hang out with him a little bit, eat dinner, and then after dinner, I'll take another hour or two to get like the kind of less creative work done.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a good work day that kind of fits around my energy level more than it fits around my time.
Yeah.
And usually I like to train at like 11 and then right before I eat, but I broke my rib about 3 weeks ago and
Oh no.
right after I left my job. And
How
so
did
I
that
can't
happen?
train. Uh, Jiu-jitsu. It
Okay.
was just, yeah, he was trying to flatten me out and like pushing all his weight on it. And I was
Yeah.
not letting it. And I heard it crack. Dude,
Ah,
yeah, it's the worst one I've ever had. And this is like my fourth or fifth one. And
really?
it's like, yeah, it still hurts to take a deep breath like 3 weeks later.
Jeez, man. That's why I don't
Yeah.
fight people.
That's why I probably shouldn't.
That's what I did. I did play rugby for like
Did you get the
nine,
ears?
10 years. No, I didn't. No, no, no.
No?
My ears are all good. No
Good for you.
cauliflower ears for me,
Dude,
man. It's
I got
generally the
mine.
second rows, the second rows that get them in the.
Oh,
It's like
yeah?
it's one of the positions. I don't know how much you know about rugby.
A little
A
bit.
little, yeah. It's the guys who are in the second row, and occasionally a guy called the number 8 that
Okay.
tends to get that because they spend so much time with their heads, literally pretty much between like
Oh, are the
two other guys' butts
oh, so the
in
second
the scrum.
row, so like in the scrum,
In
the
the scrum,
second row
exactly.
is usually who gets it, not the front row.
No, not the front row because the second rows go. So you've got the three guys at the front. You've got
Uh-huh.
the guy called in the middle is called the hooker, which people like to joke
Hmm.
about, and then you've got the then you've got the props on either side, and
Okay.
then so it's like 3, 2, 1. So you've got
Got you.
the props and hookers at the front, then the second rows, two of them, and they go
Hmm.
in between those three, and then you've got
Hmm.
the number 8 at the back who goes in between
Everyone.
those
He's
guys.
the one that
Yeah,
gets the ball, right?
yeah, yeah. So it's those three. Well, the guy who normally gets the ball is called the scrum half. So he's the guy behind the number 8.
Oh,
So
okay.
so the guys in the scrum are called the pack. So like
Hmm.
you've got 8 people. You've also got the flankers who are on the side. So you've got like the 3, 2, 1, and then you've got the 2 guys on the side, and then you've got the so a rugby team is split into the front. Yeah, into the forwards and the backs. So the
Okay.
forwards, there's 8 of them. Those are the guys in the scrum. And then the other 7 players, those are the guys who kind of like line up, and
Yeah.
when the ball comes out the scrum and they pass it down. So yeah, so those guys don't. Those guys certainly don't get the ears. But yeah, it's the second rows and the
Yeah.
number 8 who I've seen some pretty.
Got it.
Yeah, I've seen some
Dude, they get
pretty serious.
gnarly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I used to
yeah.
hang out with the rugby team at CU, and there were some of them that was like, wow, like worse
Yeah.
than the fighters I know. A lot of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it's because they're
Um,
just constant like
yeah.
rubbing. Just yeah.
Yeah. The same deal. I got mine when I was still a white belt, and I had no choice but to keep training. I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, I've only been training for a year. I still don't know nothing about fighting.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, if I stop now, I just look like I can, but I can't. I have no choice. Like I have to keep going.
Yeah, man. So what got you into fighting?
I had never been in a fight before, and I felt like I should. It was
Oh,
literally that simple.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's that's
Um,
that's, that's funny. That's an interesting mindset. I think most guys are like, if they've never been in a fight, they're like, okay, well, let me try to keep things that way. Let me not go seek it out.
yeah, man. I just heard like so many people say like you don't know who you are until you get punched in the mouth.
Mm,
Um, just any kind of variation of that. And eventually I was like, you know what? Like I've never been in a fight. I've had punches thrown at me and I've just never like evolved into anything.
mm,
And I'm just like, you know what? I should figure that out.
yeah,
And honestly, man, it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Um, was just like becoming comfortable with violence changed everything about the way I view social interaction, which was
okay.
interesting.
In
Didn't
what way?
expect it. I'm calmer, very calm.
Mm.
Like I, it's. Have you seen the movie Fight Club?
I have, but not for a long time, so I
There's a
don't.
scene. Yeah, there's a scene in there where he's getting yelled at by his boss, and then he cuts away and narrates, and he's basically saying, after Fight Club, everything in the rest of my life just gets the volume turned down. Like
Okay.
it's hard to care when your boss is yelling at you when you just got punched in the mouth last night, right?
Mm.
Or choked out or whatever. And it's very accurate. It's like I'm just kind of across the board calmer. Like people start getting all feisty and everything when I'm at the bar, and I just like, come on, dude, stop
Mm.
it. Like you almost avoid fights by just being so calm about the concept of fighting that it throws people off, and they're like, "What?
Mm.
What's going on?" And they
Yeah,
back off.
that's interesting, man. Yeah, that's interesting. I've always like I'm obviously like really into physical activity with all my training and lifting and stuff, but
Hmm.
I've never actually like gotten into a combat sport. Like I've tried a whole ton of sports, but I've never done any like boxing or jujitsu or anything like that.
Dude, you'd
What's that?
you'd probably really enjoy it.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah, I probably would. I think I probably will at some point. You know
yeah,
what I mean? When I've achieved certain goals and aspirations that are
right.
a lot more life crucial for me to
Yeah, no,
achieve,
definitely.
and I've got some, a little bit of spare capacity, and it's like, let me take on something new. I like to try something new every couple years. In
Hmm.
2014 and 2015, it was all about language learning. I like
Nice.
picked up French and Spanish and did like a German course as well.
Hmm.
Um, French and Spanish have, to be honest, with both of those languages, I've within about within about 8 weeks, I can get like really pretty good at either of those languages again. Like I always remember the basics. If I meet a French person tomorrow, I can still have a conversation with them or whatever. But
Right.
it's not as fresh as it was because you got to keep
Yeah,
for it to stay there. You got to keep using it.
dude.
And just recently this year, I haven't been meeting a lot of French and Spanish speakers, so I haven't really been using it. And I'm
Uh
not
huh.
going I'm not going out of my way specifically to
Right.
like do a lot of it. But yeah, I think it's good to pick up new skills every year or so.
Dude, definitely. I actually took 4 years of German back in high school
Oh yeah.
and have not used it since. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like I could
German.
probably get it back, but it's gone.
Yeah. German is tough as well. And then if you go to Germany, like I've been to Germany several times, and if you go to Germany, so many people speak such good English that it tends to default into English. So even if you
Yeah.
want to speak German, their
Yeah.
English is probably going to be way better than your German. So it
Yep.
defaults back. Whereas in France and Spain, a lot of French people and Spanish people don't speak good English. So in a way, it's better because it's like, okay, well, if we're going
Right.
to converse, my French is better than your English, so we're going to stick to
Yeah.
French, and
No,
it's
that's
kind of better
interesting.
from that perspective. Yeah, yeah, because then you can actually
Uh-huh.
practice.
Yeah. I've gone down to Rio and I really should have known a little bit more Portuguese than I did.
Oh yeah.
And then Belize, I was actually there last week. That was all English speaking. And then
Mm.
a couple times I've been in Mexico, it's all Spanish. And then working on the construction site, you'd think that I should have thought ahead back in high school and learned Spanish because we have so many Latino workers. But no, there's a lot of Spanish
Yeah, yeah.
in my world. A
Oh
lot.
man, dude, you got plenty of time, man. If you want to pick any of those up, man, by
Yeah, got too much going on as it is,
yeah,
but I
I hear
need
that.
to.
Yeah,
It opens your world up.
it really does. It really does. I didn't realize I mean, I've always thought languages are important, especially I think this is one thing as well, being obviously the UK is geographically a little detached from the rest of Europe, being an island. But
Hmm.
I think in Europe in general, because you've got so many um, so many different cultures, so many different countries, and so many different languages in a relatively small space. So, like all of Europe, excluding Russia, is smaller than the US, right?
Right.
So, but within Europe, you've got, I don't know, 50 completely different languages in that
Mm.
same geographical space. So you're
And then
always,
even Spain has like three totally different dialects of Spanish, right? Like very different.
yeah, well, in Barcelona they speak more Catalan, which is not even
Hmm.
Spanish. That's a different language.
That's
They
my
do,
point.
yeah, they do speak Spanish as well. And then in the north, around, oh gosh, what's the name of that place? Is it Andalusia? They've got like another language that they speak. I can't remember off the this is gonna annoy me now. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my brain, but they've got another language there.
Yeah.
But and then yeah, so it's really really interesting because you've just got all these different languages, and anytime I go to a country, I like to, I can probably at least say like hello, thank you, and goodbye, and like I don't know,
Hmm.
10 or 15 different languages. Because even just knowing those little bits, it's cool. Like if you're there, or if you're in
Yeah.
in Serbia or in Czech Republic or in Lithuania, even if you just
Yeah.
say like a couple of words, people are just like their minds are just blown. They're like, oh wow, like
Yeah,
people
dude, it just
automatically
takes
become,
just a
yeah,
little bit. And then like I've talked to a couple German people recently
yeah,
and I've been like I've just said like a couple sentences and they're like, "Oh, you know German?" And then I've gone
yeah,
right back to English and been like,
yeah,
"Nope, I know that. Like I
yeah,
know
yeah.
enough to make an impression. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all I got."
it's really funny, man. But it's always
Hmm.
fun. It's just like I like to see people's eyes light up. Like in the
Yeah, me
UK,
too.
obviously you've got a big Polish population, so I
Hmm.
know I know literally like 6 or 7 phrases in Polish.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny, like because nobody expects a black guy to know any Polish, right? So 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 if you just say like anything, they're just like their
Yeah.
faces just like light up. So
Yeah.
it's really really funny. Same with like Lithuanian, Croatian, Serbian.
Hmm.
'Cause I've been to all those countries, so it's like okay, let me at least learn like thank you, hello,
Yeah.
goodbye, what's your name, and
Yeah.
maybe like my name is Zuby. Just like some
Yeah.
really basic phrases, but they get you a long way.
They really do.
Yeah. So what's next, bro? You've taken this big leap to go full time now with your new company, and
Hmm.
I can see you're obviously an ambitious dude. So what's the future for Ground Shark Coffee? Where do you see it going?
That's a big question.
Hmm.
My dream with Ground Shark, my business partner wants to sell me his half once we get it big enough and use it to buy a sailboat and just go live out the sailboat, sail the world, and just go do his own thing for the rest of his life.
Nice.
Yeah, and that is awesome. What I would like to do with it at that point is keep growing it and hire it off as much as I can and just be very hands off with it.
Hmm.
That being said, it's become my baby, and now I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that, but I need to. That's
Yeah.
like the curse of the entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'd imagine it's probably pretty close to how parents feel when their kids grow up and move off to college, and it's like, all right, time to go. Um, but that's the dream with Ground Shark, right? Build it up, make it something I'm very proud of, and then start hiring it off. Maybe sell it if the price is right. I don't know. And then start working on something else. And I love the chaos and the just nonsense of the startup world, right? Like just every time I turn around, there's more just weirdness going on, and I love that. It's exciting. It makes me feel alive, right? So
Yeah.
I want to keep doing that as long as I can and keep working on other projects. And really, I like getting my hands in a lot of different things, and I want to take Ground Shark a little bit more vertical. I'd like to have a coffee shop at some point. I'd like to own parts of coffee farms, maybe in Brazil, maybe in other countries, and just have like a little bit of the whole supply chain start to finish.
Mm. Where's the
Um,
where's the coffee source from at the moment?
right now, all Brazil. but we've got some Indonesian on the way. We've got a couple other countries we're testing. My business partner's doing what we call cupping, but it's effectively a taste testing tomorrow. And then he's going to bring back a couple different ones that he likes, and we're going to go through them. We're working on new stuff, but right now, all from Brazil. I would like to, like I said, get totally vertical with it. I'm also working on a bunch of other things. I'm starting up another podcast. We're calling it The Unemployables. I'm working with another guy who quit his job like right after I did. So I don't know where that'll go. And then what else? I'm working on rolling out like some business consultations and maybe a course with, Jeff Putnam of Rugged Legacy. You might have seen him in Twitter.
Vaguely, yeah.
He's been new
from Twitter, but not like
yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. He's a great dude, and me and him have been working a lot on like consolidating our knowledge and trying to package it to give the people. And then something I've kind of realized recently is that what really gets me going is connecting people to their dreams. That's how I fell into the Ground Shark role of my business partner. Like his dream is to buy the sailboat, but really the meat of his dream is to buy that sailboat by doing what he loves.
Got it. Yeah.
Like he could very easily go and get a high paying job as a chef at some other restaurant, like just some job, right, that would pay the bills and eventually get him there. But to him, that's selling a part of his soul to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so it's so cool to me to like be a part of that and just connecting people with where they want to go, putting people in the right position, giving people the opportunity to make their dreams a reality, whatever that looks like, be it professional or personal. I love that. Awesome. And I've been realizing that lately. And so what I've been thinking a lot about past couple of days has actually been like, how can I monetize that and actually make a living doing that? Because that's in reality, like that's my dream job. So what's next for me personally? Figuring out that path,
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, we're all gonna make it, man. We're all gonna make it. I'm really enjoying doing this podcast because it's so cool talking to I've spoken to such a range of people, but everyone's inspiring and fascinating in their own way, so it's like and obviously being an entrepreneur can be lonely, man. It's sometimes you're like, dude, I'm the only person, feels like you're the only person doing something that's against the grain or really chasing after your own dream or passion and not just being a cog in a machine. And it's a weird mindset, but anytime I talk to an entrepreneur, I'm just like, I feel you. I feel you.
Dude.
I know what you're talking from. It doesn't matter if it's music or coffee or watches or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's there's like that connection right there. And actually, I didn't realize this when I quit my job. I'm such an extrovert. I never put two and two together that by quitting my job and working from home, I won't have any coworkers. Like I make sure I always talk to my roommate before he leaves for work in the morning, because that's like, I need personal interaction. But and then I don't see anybody or talk to anybody unless I'm on a call until he comes home for lunch, if he does. And then it's like, there's another 4 hours and I'm alone all day. And I'm like blowing my brains out over here. Like, God, I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's very good to meet other people on the same path.
100%, bro. And we will most definitely stay in touch. All right, man. So Nick, let people know where they can find you online and where they can find Ground Shark Coffee as well.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter is best. Instagram works too. Twitter is at Nick Lowary, NickLowary. Instagram is at Nick Lowary 39. The number's 39. My website is nicklowry.com. You can find Ground Shark at groundsharkcoffee.com. On Twitter at GroundSharkCC, because we couldn't fit coffee. And then on Instagram at Ground Shark Coffee Co.
Awesome.
I think that about covers it. I think. I don't know. There's so many now.
That's all good, man. Awesome, dude. Really, really, really good to talk to you, Nick, and to
find out
more about your story. And yeah, man, I wish you all the best with it.
You too, Zuby.
Keep killing it, man. No doubt, bro. Have a good day.
Too. Bye. You too. Bye.